lesson learned, return, listen to yourself churn. Locking in, uniform and book, burning blood, letting every motive escalate. Automotive incinerate, light a candle, light a motor, step down, watching heel crush, uh-oh, this means no fear. Cavalier, renegade, steer clear, tournament of lies. Offer me solutions, offer me alternatives, and I decline. It's the end of the world as we know it. It's the end of the world as we know it. It's the end of the world as we know it. I feel fine. It's the end of the world as we know it. It's the end of the world as we know it. It's the end of the world as we know it. I feel fine. The other night I drifted nice, continental drifted by mountain, sit in a line. Leonard Bernstein, Leonard Brasnap, Lenny Bruce and Lester Banks, birthday party, cheesecake, jelly bean, boom, you symbiotic, patriotic, slam button, nap, right? Right. It's the end of the world as we know it. It's the end of the world as we know it. It's the end of the world as we know it. I feel fine. It's the end of the world as we know it. It's the end of the world as we know it. It's the end of the world as we know it. And I feel fine. It's the end of the world as we know it. It's the end of the world as we know it. It's the end of the world as we know it. And I feel fine. It's the end of the world as we know it. It's the end of the world as we know it. It's the end of the world as we know it. And I feel
Evening doomers, yes, it's the end of the world as we know it. Another music for the end of the world, Wednesday, 7 till 8 p.m. here on 93.7 Edge FM. And getting close to Christmas, and I'm joined in the studio tonight by Cass. Welcome, babe.
Evening, darling.
And tonight, I've got some great music to play. A few tunes from people that maybe you haven't heard of before. And then, of course, a few that you probably have heard of. Radiohead. Who else have we got? We got Tony J. White. Some people know him. Maybe the Pretenders. Cass, if we have time. I know it's your favourite band. What else have we got? Wolf Alice. Have you heard of them?
Vaguely.
Brandy Carlisle.
Yes, no Brandy Carlisle.
You know Brandy Carlisle. Laura Marling.
Yes.
Oh, okay. All right. We'll see. Melody Gardo.
No, I don't know Melody Gardo.
Willie Bobo. Well, if we go around to it, we will play all of those, but I'm not promising anything. But on tonight's show, normally I do a bit of a roundup of the latest news that's happening collapse-wise around the world. Riots, droughts, food shortages, etc., etc. But tonight I'm not going to do that. And normally I'd talk about a particular aspect of collapse, but tonight I'm going to be reading a little story. Some characters you may know, And the story is entitled, Oh Pooh, It's Over, a story of our gentle end. And yes, it is about those characters, beloved characters that we know from childhood in the 100 Acre Wood. Winnie the Pooh, Piglet, Rabbit, Owl, Christopher Robin, Eeyore. And you read it to me the other morning, darling. It was really beautiful. It's something, basically, I do this show to inform people, really, of what's going on, because that's all you can do. You can try and talk to people about what's going on. You can't make them understand. You can't make them realise. All you can do is talk to people, and hopefully something, a little spark happens, and they get it. But it's all about basically acceptance. It's a bit Buddhist, I think. It's sort of just accepting and realising what the future holds and coming to that acceptance. And that's what this story is about.
Well, I think the thing which is really interesting about that story as well, and while you say absolutely, it's about being here and now in the present. But I think what's really changed is that the future is so unknown. I mean, apart from obviously an inevitable,
Inevitable fall off the cliff, yes.
But when and how it all plays out. I mean, everything really, as we know, with everything that's happening in the world, it's constantly changing, and you don't know what's going to be happening in different parts of the world or in your own local area, or whether it be natural disasters or whether it be something else that happens. So it's very much unknown, and I suppose coming to terms with you don't have a definitive answer, but to just try and live your best life.
So, without further ado, I'll read you a chapter and then I might play some music. It is called Oh Pooh, It's Over, a story of our gentle end. And it's from the Positively Doomed website. Everything's going to be okay. And I'm not sure who the author is. Maybe it's Adian No One? Anyway, I'm not sure. Introduction, The Quiet Before the Storm. So we're living into something extraordinary. Predictions about what's to come will be hollow. We've never done this before. We just don't know what's going to happen. The only thing we can really know is that we don't really know. Not knowing is hard for anyone of very little brain, as our friend Winnie the Pooh would put it. And right now I sure feel of very little brain. The world's shifting. Forests no longer stand as they once did, telling their story. Waters remember old boundaries and then create new conversations. Temperatures speak a language we're only beginning to understand, and we, all of us, are learning to breathe and move in a world that no longer feels familiar. So this is a story for those who feel lost, for those who are too brave to admit they're afraid, for those who wonder how to keep loving when everything seems to be falling apart. It's for children who sense something's different, for adults who know too much, for anyone who has ever looked at the sky and felt both wonder and worry. Our friends in the 100 Acre Wood know something about living through change, about staying connected, about finding beauty in uncertainty. This is not a story of survival. This is a story of friendship. Chapter 1. The Quiet Between Breaths. The forest felt different now. Not wrong, exactly, just different. Pooh sat on his log watching the day. The trees seemed to learn a bit more. Their branches were less full. The ground beneath him had changed too, harder, with fewer soft places. He didn't think much about this. He simply noticed, as a Pooh Bear does. Piglet came walking, his small steps careful and quiet. Pooh, he said, which was how many conversations started. Pooh looked at him and blinked his blink. Something's changed, Piglet said, a bit worried, maybe looking for reassurance. A leaf fell, then another. They shouldn't be falling, but more and more things now just shouldn't be. The wind made a sound that was almost like speaking, but all quivery. Pooh reached into his bag and pulled out a small jar. Not much left inside. He took a tiny taste. Piglet sat down beside him, pressing gently to his side. Two beings existing. The forest continued being the forest, watching over more than being watched over. Changed, worn, but still the 100 Acre Wood. It breathed differently now. Its exhale carried the weight of unspoken changes. Bark grew thinner from a quiet yielding. Roots beneath the surface rewrote their ancient maps, seeking new conversations with the ground that no longer whispered the same secrets. This was not an ending, this was a remembering. That's chapter 1. Okay, some music, babe. What are we going to have? I think we might have Tony Joe White. High Sheriff of Cahoon?
Cahoon, that's the one.
High Sheriff of Cahoon by Tony Joe White. Here he is, people. Tony Joe White with the Sheriff of Cahoon. Back to our story of Pooh, It's Over, a story of our gentle end. Chapter 2, Eeyore's Worry. As the leaf fell, marking the quiet moment between Pooh and Piglet, the forest seemed to exhale. Its breath carried them forward to where Eeyore waited, surrounded by his withering thistles, another landscape learning to exist in change. They found Eeyore exactly where he always was, but it wasn't exactly the same. His usual patch of thistles looked different, fewer, smaller. The ground around them hard, cracked and dry. Thistles know something about surviving, about existing in spaces that others might call impossible. Their roots dig deeper than despair, finding moisture in memories, resilience in the smallest of promises. Pooh noticed the withered plants. No rain? Yep, burped Eeyore. Doesn't look good. Oh dear, Piglet stammered. His eyes darted around the dry patch. We must do something. Perhaps if we collected water from the faraway stream, or found a way to... Pooh sat near Eeyore. Not to argue, not to fix, just to be. He picked up a small stone and turned it over in his paw, smooth and warm from the sun. Changed, but still itself. Said Pooh, which could have meant anything, or nothing. Piglet continued, but we can't just sit here. There must be a solution, a way to save the thistles, to save everything. Eeyore looked at the thistles, then at Pooh, and then back at the thistles. Pooh put his paw on Piglet's shoulder. The morning continued on its way. The sun moved, the ground remained dry. Eeyore's dry patch of earth told a story of waiting, of enduring. But waiting, Rabbit knew, was not enough. And so the forest shifted again, bringing with it the urgent rustling of plans and possibilities. Rabbit burst into the thistle patch, ringing his important meeting handbell as loudly as he could. It was precisely noon. Not that time meant much anymore. Friends and neighbours slowly, then quickly found their way to the jangle of Rabbit's beck and call. Rabbit had drawn charts on large leaves, arrows pointing everywhere and nowhere, lists of tasks, roles to be assigned. We must organise, Rabbit said. His ears twitched, more nervous than usual. Piglet sat trying his best to help, if he could, trembling slightly. What exactly are we organising? Rabbit pointed to a leaf chart. Survival, he said. Water collection, food preservation, community roles. Eeyore sat at the edge. Won't work, he mumbled. Pooh watched, quiet and intent. Rabbit continued, his voice slightly higher than normal, more desperate than he wanted anyone to notice. You, Piglet, will manage water rationing. Eeyore, you'll track resource inventory. Pooh will, Pooh can observe. Pooh blinked. He nodded and shuffled his feet on the dry, cracked earth. The forest listened, rustling. The charts twisted in the warming breeze, thin and restless, carrying the hint of something ending and something else not yet begun. Yeah, that's a good story so far, babe.
Yeah, I think it's a great story. I like the fact too, I hadn't thought about it before when I've read, obviously, Winnie the Pooh as a child and read it to children, but it's got such an interesting mix of characters. You've got the eternal optimist, you've got the nervous, worried, you've got the more downer, depressed Eeyore, and the community. I think it's a really good reflection of a community, small community.
Yeah.
And the types of people you have.
Well, that's right. I think it's sort of, I don't know who wrote it, but it's sort of the different characters reveal, what sort of where they are on the spectrum of realisation, really, of knowing about our impending doom. Pooh sort of seems to be just accepting it.
Well, maybe Pooh, Pooh's just observing. I think.
He's observing, but I think he sort of accepts it. I think he's sort of like he's come to terms with it. Well, Piglet's panicking, a bit of a panicker. Eeyore's gloom, it's all going down. Rabbit's sort of more like... he's more like... I think he's more like a parent, the responsible parent. Oh, there's things we can do this, we can do that. We haven't got to Owl yet, but I'm sure Owl will be right into data and statistics.
Tigger, of course.
And Tigger, yeah. Okay, well, that was the other chapter. We'll continue reading this story about our friends in 100 Acre Wood after another song. You're listening to 93.7 Edge FM. I'm Chris. I'm joined in the studio tonight by Cass, and it is Music for the End of the World, where we are reading... It's like the Tower of Pooh, really, in a way.
It's very similar to Tower.
Very similar to the Tower of Pooh.
Very gentle, very sort of flowing, nothing sort of too harsh, but some really Yeah, interesting ideas. I think it's only building. You're only up to chapter 2, and I think it sort of builds as it goes along.
Yeah. All right. Who shall we have? No. Why don't we have Wolf Alice? Now, this is a cover.
Sounds good.
Wicked Game, which was originally by
Chris
Isaac. Chris Isaac. This is by Wolf Alice, which is a pretty cool version, I got to say. So here we are, Wicked Game by Wolf Alice. That was Wolf Alice with Wicked Game, originally done by Chris Isaac, I think. I think it is time now for some messages from our lovely sponsors, Rondell Motors and Tathra Tyres.
Are you looking for a quality new or used car? You can't go past the South Coast's premium motor dealers, Rondell Motors and Eden Mazda, at 113 Princes Highway, Eden. They are dealers for Mazda, Isuzu and Nissan, as well as having a great range of quality used cars and full workshop and parts facilities. Rondell Motors and Eden Mazda are well known for their outstanding customer service and excellent workshop. Give them a call on 64961 420 or check out the website at rondoilmotors.com.au. Rondell Motors and Eden Mazda are sponsors of 93.7 Edge FM.
Tathra Tyres and Auto have been servicing motor vehicles in Tathra since 1993. Ron, Paddy and Matt are proud supporters of Bega's community radio station 93.7 Edge FM.
Thank you, dear sponsors, and make sure you give them the patronage, listeners. Without them, we would not be able to function. Okay, you're listening to Music for the End of the World. This Wednesday night, the 11th, is it, babe? Something like that. I lose track of the days. No, it must be the 11th because...
Is it 2 weeks exactly until Christmas?
2 weeks exactly till Christmas. And yesterday was the 9th where we slaughtered our first cow, Kilkenny. And it went very smoothly, I must say. Blake did a great job. Blake Buckland, if you're ever looking for a mobile butcher, terrific guy. And we were just feeding Kenny out of the bucket. And pop! He didn't feel it, didn't know what was coming. Really well done, Blake. Thanks very much. So that was our first cow. 275 kilos. Yeah, so we'll have some meat before Christmas. Of course, unfortunately, Guinness, our other cow, is looking a little bit lonely. We'll have to get some mates for him. He's lost his friend. He's still eating, though. Don't worry, Guinness, we'll get some mates for you. Okay, we're up to Chapter 4. We had Rabbit, that was Chapter 3. Chapter 4, Owl's Calculations in this story of our friends in 100 Acre Wood. Rabbit's scattered charts drifted like fallen leaves, each arrow and number a testament to Hope's fragile geometry. The forest listened and then turned its attention to Owl, where numbers would attempt to map the unmappable. For Owl, the drought had become a mathematics problem. He perched on his highest branch, surrounded by scrolls of bark and leaves, covered in intricate calculations. Numbers sprawled everywhere. Water consumption rates, projected rainfall, caloric requirements per creature, potential food storage volumes. Precisely 42.6 days of sustainable resources remain, he announced to no one in particular. Kanga, who had been quietly weaving dried grasses into makeshift containers, looked up. And Roo peered around her, his usual bouncing energy quiet. "What does that mean?" Roo asked. Owl adjusted his spectacles. "It means, young marsupial, that our current trajectory is problematic." Kanga placed a protective paw on Roo's shoulder. Her eyes, usually warm, now held a steely pragmatism. "We'll adapt," she said. Kanga wasn't hopeful. She just knew. There just had to be a way. There just could not be a way. Piglet approached trembling. Can we fix it?" Owl's laugh was more like a bark. "Fix, my dear Piglet. This isn't a mechanical problem with a simple solution. These are systemic failures cascading across multiple ecological parameters." Pooh, who had been quietly watching, spoke. "Oh, bother," he sighed, not sure what all those numbers meant. The forest listened, the friends looked at each other. The calculations meant everything and nothing. Nothing made much more sense anyway. Roo whispered to his mother, "Are we going to be okay?" Kanga gave a quick, reassuring smile, but her silence was more honest than any words. Chapter 5, Hopes and Calculations. Al spread his charts across the dry ground. His talons trembled slightly, betraying something his precise language would not. If we act quickly, he began, voice lifting with a forced optimism. If we truly come together, we might be able to... Here we go again, Eeyore muttered. Al's feathers ruffled. I'm presenting potential mitigation strategies. Mitigation, Eeyore repeated flatly. Right. The truth lived in Al's charts, in the tiny spaces between his carefully drawn numbers. He knew. They all knew. But knowledge and acceptance were different countries, and Al had built elaborate bridges between them, bridges made of data and desperate hope. The model suggests, Al started. Pooh blinked. He said. The forest quieted and listened. Again the silence held more truth than words. Numbers exhausted themselves against the hard edges of reality. The forest held its breath, waiting for something, anything to break through the weight of calculation. And then came Tigger. All right, Tigger's the next chapter, people. So we've had Al, the sort of science guy, I suppose, with all his calculations,
Numbers, yep.
graphs, data. That's a lot of the stuff I bang on about here. We had Rabbit, who was more into teaching and calculations and mitigation.
Organiser, yep.
Organising people. We had Piglet, a little bit of panic, wasn't sure what's going on, looking for answers from people. And we've got Pooh's just sort of sitting there being, really.
And then you've got Kanga as the mother.
Kanga as the mother.
Roo, reflecting.
And Roo, the child.
The child.
Yeah. That's a really well-written story. Okay, so next chapter will be Tigger's Optimism. But first, some more music, because we've got some great tunes here. I think we might have a little bit of country. I'm pretty sure it's country. Brandy Carlisle with Raise Hell. Raise Hell by Brandy Carlisle. I was just about to say Belinda Carlisle, but that's not. That's the go-between. No, that's the Go-Go's.
Go-Go's.
Yeah, no. Brandy Carlisle with Raise Hell. You're listening to 93.7 Edge FM. And I think we will continue with the Tower of Pooh. Well, it's not the Tower of Pooh, it's the gentle ending with Pooh. Chapter 6, Tigger's Optimism. Here we go, Tigger's the optimist, babe. Tigger arrived like a sudden windstorm, all energy and impossible brightness. Who's getting gloomy, he announced, bouncing between Owl's carefully arranged charts and Eeyore's drooping thistles. No time for fat, sad faces, we've got adventure. Piglet looked up nervous. But things are difficult. Difficult? Tigger laughed. Pah! Tiggers are great at difficult. Tigger's bounced right over difficult. He demonstrated by springing impossibly high and landing with a dramatic flourish. Owl adjusted his spectacles. This isn't a matter of attitude, Tigger. Our resources are critical. Resources, shamorses, Tigger interrupted. We've got each other, and when we have each other, we have everything. Pooh watched, quiet and observing this whirlwind of denial and hope. He said again. Rabbit crossed his arms, glowering at Tigger. Must be nice to be happy all the time. The forest listened and some friends smiled, some worried, and Tigger continued bouncing. Chapter 7, Perspectives. The first argument began quietly, and then it wasn't quiet at all. Rabbit, with his charts and assignments stuffed under his arm, insisted on a plan. We must organise. Every creature has a role. Tigger bounced nearby, oblivious. Come on, guys, things will be great. They always are. Stop worrying. Eeyore stared at the dying thistles. Won't matter. Owl's calculations tumbled between hope and despair. If we adjust our resource allocation... Adjust, Kanga interrupted, her voice hard. We need to survive. Roo clung to her, watching, curious. He wasn't used to owls falling apart. Piglet wrung his hands. We should stay together, shouldn't we? Pooh sat, watching, present. I would like that, he nodded to his little friend. The forest listened and everything just felt worse. Pooh turned the small stone in his paw, smooth, no longer warm, but changed, but still itself. He said to himself, avoiding the important squabble. The air hung suspended, a membrane between what was and what might be. Leaves curled inward, not in defeat, but in anticipation. The ground had forgotten softness, its cracks like ancient stories waiting to be rewritten. Something was gathering. Not a promise, not a rescue, just a possibility. Chapter 8, First Waters. The first rain came unexpectedly. Not a storm, not salvation, but just droplets. Roo saw them first. Mum, look! The drops landed on dry leaves, on cracked ground, on upturned faces. Kanga quickly gathered any containers she could to collect any water she could. Practical, methodical. Owl measured. Approximately 0.3 mils per square metre, he announced, as if the precision might give the rain more meaning. Eeyore watched. Won't last. Pooh tilted his head, catching a droplet on his paw. Sometimes, he said softly, a little bit of something is better than a lot of nothing. Even a small drop of rain is a story, a tiny adventure. Piglet, standing close, nodded. A hopeful story? A true story, Pooh corrected him gently. The forest listened and something was changing. Not fixed, not destroyed, simply different. Well, things are happening in the 100-acre wood to our friends. I got to say, I got a soft spot for Eeyore. I like Eeyore. I like Eeyore. I'm a bit of an Eeyore, I think. Who would you be, babe?
I think I'd go between Pooh and Tigger.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah. I got to say, I find Tigger a little bit annoying. I'm sorry to say. Those hopeful optimists just piss me off.
No, I'm just talking about being positive. Like
Yeah.
Everything. It doesn't mean that being.
I know.
an eternal
I
optimist.
know,
You can just
I
be
know.
having a positive outlook.
Yes, you could be a bit brighter than Eeyore, is what you mean. Yeah, that's true. That's true. And a big shout out to all my friends, Facebook friends included. And actually, I saw this story on. Well, actually, you found it on one of the near-term human extinction. Yeah, it's from one of our friends there. So thanks very much. I forget who it was, but you know who you are. Cheers, bro. Or sister. I'm not sure who it was. And a big shout out to a very dear old friend over in Wales. Still there, Steve. I think you said you come back the 17th, maybe. Whose dad, Windsor, is a little bit under the weather. So Steve's gone over there to give him a little bit of support. If you're listening, big shout out to you, bro. And to B, and the other friends in Canberra. I know you usually listen, B. Thanks very much. And you sent me a link, actually. B sent me a link. Who was it? She was watching some show. I'm trying to remember what the show was. The Assembly on the ABC. And Sam Neill. And B was telling me Sam Neill is obviously a doomer. That's what she's saying. So I might have to watch that. More and more people are coming around to the truth.
You're definitely hearing more of it, aren't you? I mean, there's much more conversation about
Yep.
it. It's a little bit like, even the discussions about climate change. If you went back even like 5 years ago, people weren't even talking about it. Or we had a government that didn't even believe in it. So
Yeah. Yes, it's
more
slowly
talk,
changing,
more talk.
but the cliff is getting closer. All right, another song, babe. Laura Marling. Know of her?
I do know.
Oh, you do
Laura
know of
Marling.
her.
What
Do you
song
know?
are you
Do you
playing?
know where she's from?
No.
No, I don't. I'm playing Devil's Resting Place. Familiar?
No.
Okay. Well, here you are, peeps. Devil's Resting Place by Laura Marling, and then back to Pooh.
I woke up one morning to know that I had gone. Finally taken a step and jumped right off the wall. When you come to call on me, that's why my eyes are glazed. I've been with the devil in the devil's resting place. I am loath to say that I have been to stay. I've been with the devil in the devil's resting place. When you ask to drink of me, I think hard on the case. Look down to my yellow cup and take myself a taste. Bitterness is thick like blood and cold as a wind sea breeze. If you must drink of me, take of me what you please. I am loath to say it's the devil's taste. I've been with the devil in the devil's resting place. Water won't clean you. Water won't clean you. You only hold yourself to the things you do. Come up here to speak to me and hold your face to mine. Any man can hold my gaze as down his jaw just fine. You just sold your life away to be with me tonight. Hold your head against my chest, I think you'll be just fine. I am loath to say it's the devil's place. I go with the devil where the devil rests his face. I've been with the devil where the devil rests his face. Water won't clean
The Devil's Resting Place by Laura Marling. Lots of songs, seem to be lots of songs about the devil and hell tonight, babe. I don't know how that came
completely,
about.
Obviously, unintentionally.
Unintentional.
This wasn't the theme.
Unintentional, but anyway, well, that's where we're going. We're all going to hell in a handbasket, that's for sure. Chapter 9, back to 100 Acre Wood. Droplets of Possibility. The tiny rain continued, barely more than a whisper, and Rabbit immediately began measuring and shouting his findings. Small marks on bark, calculations, potential growth scenarios. His ears twitched with a desperate energy. If they could just maximise this moment, planned perfectly, perhaps they could... Al interrupted. Statistically insignificant precipitation. Zero chance of meaningful ecosystem recovery. Eeyore nodded. Told ya. Kanga kept collecting, practical, silent. Roo watched the droplets. But it's something, right? Pooh smiled. Sometimes something is just the something we need. Piglet trembled, hope and fear dancing in his eyes. Do you really think so? Life was scary these days. He was glad for his best friend. They were both afraid, but being afraid together felt better. Everything felt better together. The forest listened as forests do, waiting, uncertain whether these droplets were an ending or a beginning. Chapter 10, Memories of Water. The forest remembered other waters, floods that had swept away homes, between the droughts that had cracked the earth. Never gentle, never just right. Floods used to come, Al muttered, tracing old water lines on the tree trunks. And then nothing. Extremes. No balance. Kanga nodded. Too much, then too little. Roo looked confused. Why can't the water just stay? Pooh considered this. Water is like feelings, he said. Sometimes rushing, sometimes hiding, always moving. Eeyore snorted. Cold, mostly rushing away. Piglet whispered, but these drops, they're different, right? Roo tried to splash in what wasn't quite a trickle. Tigger was singing and dancing in the drizzling rain. The others, along with the forest, listened, remembering and waiting. Pooh touched a small puddle forming on the dry ground. Just enough, he said. Always just enough. Silence is not emptiness, it's a language of its own. The forest spoke this language as it explored the change. In the tilt of branches, the hesitation of shadows, the way sunlight moved like a careful guest. Something was about to change, not dramatically, but just essentially. The tiny puddle grew, not much, but something. Kanga gathered what she could. The friends and neighbours had grown quiet. Water remembers everything, even when the ground forgets, and so the memory of moisture carried the friends towards a moment of unexpected connection, where Christopher Robin would appear like a bridge between what was and what could be. Christopher Robin appeared at the edge of the forest. He'd outgrown his shiny yellow rain suit, not a child anymore, not quite an adult, something in between. I heard you were having trouble, he said, simple and direct. Piglet tried not to tremble. Trouble is a small word for a big problem. Christopher Robin smiled, sad and knowing. We're all having trouble, he said. Pooh watched him, the way one watches something precious. Everything was changing. Would you like some nectar, Pooh asked, the jar nearly empty, but still something to share. Thank you, Pooh Bear, Christopher Robin said. You enjoy that. He sat close to Pooh, close to everyone. They all pressed close under the shelter of one of the bravest trees, arms around each other, enjoying what they had together. The forest listened, waiting, gathering itself. Christopher Robin's presence changed something. Not everything, but something. We're not alone, he said. Not a promise, not a solution, just a fact. Owl's damp charts rustled wearily. Rabbit's plans seemed to soften. Eel's usual gloom carried a different weight. Tigger, surprisingly quiet, sat close to Roo. Kanga watched, protective but different too. Pooh looked at that small puddle, and then at Christopher Robin, and then back at the puddle. Sometimes, Pooh said, connection is its own kind of water. Piglet nodded, trembling less. Silly old bear loved Christopher Robin. The forest listened, breathing and waiting. Something was happening. Not healing, not fixing, just being. The puddle remained for a while, small and persistent. Eeyore inched closer, not to drink, just to be near something alive, to convince himself it was real. We're not trying to survive, Christopher Robin said suddenly. We're trying to be together. Owl blinked. His calculations suddenly seemed less important. Rabbit's charts fell from his hands, scattered like the leaves they were and wanted to be. Pooh nodded. He said, drawing it into a smile. This time, meant everything. Piglet reached out and touched Eeyore's back, a connection. Roo nestled against his mother, Kanga's arm around him, protective, accepting. The forest listened, not for salvation, but just listening. The ground beneath them was changing. The world around them was changing. We're still here, Christopher Robin said. A statement, not a triumph, not a defeat. Pooh put his paw out to test the wet. Owl's charts had become something else. Not predictions, not solutions, just memories of how they once tried to understand. Eeyore spoke softly. We're okay, he said, and he meant it. Piglet wasn't trembling, not anymore. The forest listened to breathing, existing. Something was ending. Might something else be beginning? Said Pooh. And so they gathered, not perfectly, not as planned, but together. Owl still had his charts, rolled but not discarded. He would still calculate and recalculate. It's what he knew how to do. Rabbit's plans lay scattered but not forgotten. Tigger's bounce had softened but hadn't disappeared. There was still room for happiness, maybe even room for fun. Pooh looked at them. He looked at them all, saw their differences and their sameness. We are not what we lose, Pooh said, surprising everyone. We are what we remember and what we choose to carry. I'll carry you all, right here, he said, pointing to his chest. Christopher Robin nodded and smiled, understanding. Eeyore, usually pessimistic, found something like hope in Pooh's words. Maybe friendship was all the hope he needed. It was hard for him to feel happiness, but he thought maybe this was what was close, very close. He had an idea of what was ahead, but it was just an idea. What he was sure about was that this was his chosen family and that this was his home, come what may. Piglet stopped trembling and snuggled into Pooh's side. Kanga held Roo close to her heart. The puddle was shrinking, but it had been there, proof of something, proof of everything. Well, things are happening in the 100-acre wood. 2 more chapters to go. We've got time for 1 more song, babe. Maybe 2. And of course, as you know, Cass, I have made it my life's calling on this show to always play every week at least 1 song from one of the greatest bands ever.
I wonder who...
One of the greatest bands ever, and they happen to be a cover band. Nothing wrong with covers, people. Me First and the Gimme Gimmes. And this time, I'm going to play one of my favourite songs from Me First and the Gimme Gimmes. Shake everyone up a bit. Nobody Does It Better, which is from a James Bond movie, I believe.
It is.
For 10 trivia points, can you tell me which James Bond movie?
The Spy Who Loved Me.
Is it? Oh.
I think there's one. If you listen in the lyrics, there's...
Okay. All right, here we are,
No,
people.
anyway.
Nobody Does It Better, Me First and the Gimme Gimmes. Rock on.
Nobody does it better. Makes me feel sad for the rest. Nobody does it half as good as you. Baby, you're the best. I wasn't looking, somehow you found me. I tried to hide from your love light, like heaven above me. The spy who loved me is keeping all my secrets safe tonight, and nobody does it better.
Yeah, that's Gimme Gimmes. Nobody does it better. Oh, they're great. So good. So good. All right, it's coming up to the end of the show, Doomers. And we've almost finished our tale about the 100 Acre Wood. But before we do the last chapter, I think it's time for some more messages from our beloved sponsors, Fair Dinkum Builds and Bigger Glass if you need glass.
You might be familiar with Coastal Country Sheds and Garages, but now you'll notice the name has changed to Fair Dinkum Builds Bega Valley. A little change that goes a long way for our customers. We'll always be your local experts when it comes to building commercial premises with flexible builds, quality material and great service. And we're stepping things up even further. For you, for keeps. Search Fair Dinkum Builds today or drop by and see us at 3 West Street, North Bega.
Fair Dinkum Builds Bega Valley is the long-time sponsor of 93.7 Edge FM.
Need a broken window fixed? Glass doors or shower screen? For all types of glass replacement or mirrors cut to size, call Bega Valley Glass on 0417 545 498. For prompt service, whether domestic or commercial, Bega Valley Glass are the experts. Remember, call Corgi on 0417 545 498 for all your glass requirements. Bega Valley Glass, sponsor 93.7 Edge FM.
Thank you, dear sponsors. It is coming up to... It's just turned 8 o'clock. Once again, I'm going a little bit overtime, as I normally do. This is Chris in the studio with Music for the End of the World, joined by Cass on 93.7 Edge FM. Hello to all the doomers out there. We're getting up to the end now. What remains? Chapter 16 on our story about the 100 Acre Wood. Transformation is not sudden. It is 1,000 whispers, 1,000,000 subtle shifts. The 100 Acre Wood no longer looked like it did in the old photographs and illustrations, but it was not less. The trees stood differently, some broken, all transformed. Their branches told stories of resilience, of learning to bend without forgetting how to reach. The ground beneath was a journal of memories, each crack a sentence, each new root a paragraph in an ongoing narrative of becoming. The sun came differently now. It felt a bit less demanding. Now it just was present. The puddle vanished, its soothing remained. Owl circled overhead, his charts tucked carefully beneath his wing, not giving up, not holding too tight. Pooh sat with his friends, Christopher Robin beside him, Piglet, Eeyore, Kanga, Anru, Rabbit, Tigger. Two birds sang in the distance, not a full chorus but a song, a thank you to the sun, a thank you to the rain. The 100 Acre Wood looked different, battered from its past, not sure of its future. Transformed, still itself, still home. We're here, Pooh agreed. And they were. Change is not a single moment, it's 1,000 tiny whispers, a leaf falling, a drop of rain, a hand reaching out. We're all connected to each other, to all living beings, to the ground beneath our feet, to the sky above, to our memories. Subtle threads binding us even as everything shifts. We are witnesses now, not heroes, not saviours. We are simply here, like Pooh and his friends. We are learning to live with and to move with uncertainty. In the end, what matters is how we were with each other, how we sat together, how we noticed, how we loved, even as everything changes, especially as everything changes. This is not about hope. This is about honesty, about being fully here in this moment, about holding each other's hands as the ground shifts. We can't stop what is coming. We can't fix it, but we can be kind. We can be present. We can breathe and play and laugh and love together. The world does not need our courage. It needs kindness and our simple, honest presence. We are here until we are not. Breathe. Thus ends the story of Pooh. What a great story, babe.
Yeah.
You know, that's what it's about. Being with the people that you want to be with. You can't do anything about it. You can't stop it. You can only be with the people.
Be present.
Be
together,
present. Be together.
Be
That's
kind.
right. And like my friends in Just Collapse always say, collapse is inevitable, people, but justice is not. So we can still hang our hat on something. And hopefully, I think I'm in the process of organising, I'm going to have be broadcasting a chat with Kate and Tristan from Just Collapse in the coming weeks or months. I'm still getting my head around technology and recording stuff or whatever, but that will be coming up and that will be terrific, talking with those guys from Tasmania. Okay, it is 8:03, time to go home, have some dinner, check on how Guinness is going without his mate Kenny. Last song, babe. What am I going to play? Well, I did say that I would play your favourite band, Alice. So here they are, The Pretenders, with, I think, the best version of the song, Angel of the Morning. Take care, people. Be kind to each other. Keep building those community relationships. And try and be a little bit like Pooh in the present. Angel of the Morning, Pretenders. Until next week, see you later.
There'll be no strings to bind your hands, not if my love can't bind your heart. And there's no need to take a stand, for it was I who chose to start. I see no reason to take me home. I am old enough to face the dawn. Well, just call me angel of the morning, angel. Just touch my cheek before you leave me, oh baby. Just call me angel of the morning, angel. Then slowly turn away from me. Maybe the sun's light will be dim, so it won't matter anyhow. If morning's echo says we've sinned, well, it was what I wanted now. And if we're victims of the night, I won't